Security for Americans is a daily story now, sometimes almost an hourly one. In the Congress today, there was a Senate hearing about security on the country's ships and trains. Many senators say they are also vulnerable to attack. At the country's ports, an admiral told us today security is probably the tightest it has been since World War II. ABC's Lisa Stark is in Washington. Lisa.
Well, Peter, there is no single federal agency responsible for security at the more than 300 U.S. ports, and there are no federal standards for port security. But since the attacks, government agencies have been working together to step up security.
In New York Harbor, the U.S. Coast Guard was out in force today, boarding a container ship as part of its stepped-up security checks.
He's going to verify everyone on that crew list and that passport.
They carefully match passports to each member of the crew. For the first time, vessels must provide the Coast Guard with manifests of everyone on board 24 hours before reaching a U.S. harbor.
Every vessel is screened, every vessel is boarded, every vessel in the Port of New York gets escort tugs.
In Miami, the Coast Guard is escorting cruise ships and has established a 100-yard security zone around each ship. The cruise industry has stepped up its own security as well.
You have 100% checking of everything that's going on and everything that's going off. You have 100% positive identification of everyone that's going on and going off.
In Boston, one day last week, the Coast Guard turned away a liquefied natural gas tanker like this one, concerned that in the event of a terrorist attack, the city did not have procedures in place to respond if there were an explosion or fire. In Houston, ships carrying hazardous gases must police themselves when docked, both on the water and on deck. Terrorism experts believe the new procedures make the ports more secure.
It's always best to be proactive, and the proactive means keeping perimeters, security perimeters around ships, and verifying, certifying who's at the control of those ships and who's on board those ships before they get into a harbor.
The concern now is maintaining this security as the weeks and months go by. The Coast Guard has always operated on a shoestring budget. It is now stretched to its limit. Peter?
Thank you, Lisa. Lisa Stark this evening on the ports. As we said, it's a daily story now. A couple of other items in the news in the national briefing tonight. Two politicians. The 98-year-old Senator Strom Thurmond appeared to be in physical difficulty on the Senate floor today. He was taken away by ambulance and is spending the night in the hospital. Doctors think he was dehydrated. And in Florida, the Secretary of State Katherine Harris, who played such an important role during the presidential election, has decided to run for Congress as a Republican from Sarasota. A study from the National Low-Income Housing Coalition, which is a private group, finds today that the average U.S. worker must earn at least $13.80 an hour to pay the rent on a modest two-bedroom apartment. That is nearly 3 times the minimum wage. The study also finds that California is the most expensive state in which to rent an apartment, and San Francisco the most expensive city. West Virginia is the least expensive state, and Gadsden, Alabama, the cheapest city to live in. When we come back to the main story, the doctor who is one of the world's most wanted.